CBS takes over TCAs with the Les Moonves elephant in the room. Keri Russell and the Americans are critics' darlings. What does that mean for the Emmys? Shots fired again. It's LeBron, Rosie, and Omarosa versus Trump. Plus, are the Kardashians toxic for your children? All this and more on Meet the Hollywood Press for Sunday, June 29th, 2018. I'm Mackenzie Fain, and now your host of Meet the Hollywood Press, Joseph Kapsch.
Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Meet the Hollywood Press. And thank you, Mackenzie. That was wonderful. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, there's so much packed into that opening. I can barely wait to tear into all of this. So welcome my co-host, Alina Vission.
Hello. I am so jazzed for today. We got some juicy stuff to talk about.
We sure do. So so viewers, really quickly, we're safely tucked away in North Hollywood while the whole entire television industry is over in Beverly Hills at the television TCAs, otherwise known as the Television Critics Association conference, annual conference, and it's CBS Day. So obviously,
right. That's a big day.
What do we think it's a big day for? Les Moonves. So first, I just want to quickly tell viewers that this is my inappropriate tan jacket. is in homage to Obama's birthday yesterday.
Remember when the tan suit? Remember when the world was just about the tan suit?
I mean, the simpler times, right? Yeah. Happy birthday, Obama. My favorite and forever president.
Exactly.
Okay, so without further ado, let's get into this because basically last night, Television Critics Association had their awards, and we'll get to today's conference about the Les Moonves, but I want to talk quickly about the awards because Keri Russell, everybody, hello, Felicity. The Americans, FX Americans, starring her and Matthew Rhys, won Best Show, and then she got Best Actress, which now obviously everyone's like Emmy, but
exactly.
she was already in the mix. But you watched the show.
I do. I'm a huge fan. I'm actually a huge fan of all of the shows that were nominated, and I really think that the Americans, especially in this final season, pulled out all the stops.
Yes.
And when it comes to awards, they're kind of the sleeper show. I don't feel like they could get enough of the recognition that, they should.
They should, agree.
And I'm so excited that they won for Best Show and they won, both of them. It's amazing. It's great.
It's interesting because it's like a love and a hate relationship at times when TV critics are weighing in because at one sense I'll read reviews and I'm sure you could weigh in here. You'll read reviews and you completely disagree and other times you don't. But I always feel that the TCA Awards give the right respect. And there's maybe a sense of that because they follow the awards industry, so the awards season so closely, that there's a certain level of they didn't get their due respect at the real awards. Let's give it to them here because Empire is one that sticks out in my mind. So that was the year when Empire was really white hot out its second season, and it did win. It didn't help its chances for Emmys. I think this is different here because even before the TCAs, you heard all of the awards analysts saying that Keri Russell could really, and she's been, speaking of white hot, she's cast in the new
Star Wars.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I really do think that this is her year. I think it's going to come down to between her and Elizabeth Moss, honestly.
Yes.
I think it's going to be a really close race. I'd be happy with either because I think they did an amazing job, but I think she deserves to get that award.
Mackenzie, what do you feel about television? Do you rely on television reviews when you're going to watch a show?
No. Not at all. I don't even, to be honest, I don't even look at them. It has to do more about the description and if I'm interested in the topic.
More the topic or I know I'm a loyalist to actors and actresses. So more if someone I want to watch is in something, even if the plot line doesn't sound like something, but I'll watch because I have certain actors and actresses I want to watch.
Oh, absolutely. There, specific actors or actresses, I would definitely gravitate towards those shows.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm just a TV fanatic that I'll just try anything.
See, I get a lot of mine from word of mouth.
I was just going to ask you.
Yeah, the Americans actually, I discovered it. I had heard about it, but I discovered it after the 2016 election.
Yes, of course.
And one of my friends was like, you should really watch The Americans.
Yes.
And I binge watched it and fell in love with the show.
It had a certain feel too, just to me, like I almost like my dream show would be, because it gives me, when Keri Russell was doing the work she was doing in The Americans, it gave me Alias vibes of like Jennifer Garner.
Right.
And that would be my dream, because they're both J.J. Abrams gals. Like they both, remember, because J.J. Abrams was Alias and then Felicity was J.J. Abrams. Those two in a TV show I think would be fantastic. Jennifer Garner and
that would.
Anyway,
write it, pitch it, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
Dream team.
So now moving along to probably less happier. That's the happy part of TCAs. So today, basically, CBS, for viewers that may be not familiar with TCAs, they divide, obviously, it starts with each day, going back a week ago or 10 days. I think it feels like it goes on for
a long
I
time.
lose
It
track.
feels
It's
like it, yeah.
I'm like, they're still going on. So they basically divided up, and today was CBS Day. And so that's why even I wanted to have some other television journalists come in, and they're all embedded in Beverly Hills right now. I said, so let's just talk about it from afar. So the network entertainment president had a session this morning. Obviously, there's no avoiding the Les Moonves, and quickly, obviously, Les Moonves has been accused of sexual misconduct by, I think, 6 or more women in a Ronan Farrow New Yorker expose, and they have since opened up a investigation. Since last week's show, to really quickly, the board had voted to decide not to remove him. So until the investigation is complete, he's still operating in his job. He even had a CBS earnings call, which couldn't be more awkward, because there was like no discussion of, the sexual misconduct allegations. And then in addition, the whole Jeff Fager, who runs 60 Minutes, is also accused of more harassment or more fostering an environment at 60 Minutes that didn't do anything about harassment. It just broke today that he is extending his vacation. He's on vacation because basically 60 Minutes is in hiatus right now for the summer. He's extending his vacation while... I said this last week. I'm still 50-50 on whether, because I literally will get to this in a second. I'm 50-50 on whether Les Moonves is going to come out of this with his job, but I'm convinced that Jeff Fager is. If Les Moonves gets to stay, I feel like for the public, there has to be a sacrificial lamb.
Right, somebody's head has to roll.
Because it just wouldn't for there to be that. Intense scrutiny and all of the reporting that Ronan did that was so comprehensive and meticulous. There's where there's smoke, there's fire.
Exactly.
We don't know if it's to the extent like, Jeff Fager's defense is that it's disgruntled employees. And yes, there could be a certain truth to part of that, but not all of it. Not all of it. So can you read Kelly Stahl, the network president, just sort of the gist of what he did say? He was asked about it, and also I'm noticing as the other breakers are coming out of TCA right now, the company line seems to be, we respect the investigation. We're going to let the investigation play out. It's total PR speak for those. I mean, it's just like, here's what you say, when you're going to be asked about it, because they none of them have chosen. Which I guess is smart if you're working for... I don't think you should say, I think my boss is guilty. He's probably going to go down.
Because he's sending the checks.
Do you think Les is guilty? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So here's what Kelly had to say. It says, Leslie's been an excellent boss and mentor as well. At the same time, we need to respect the voices that come forward. The scope of what I can talk about is limited. There's nothing more I can say about Les or the situation.
Okay, what do you think, Alina?
I mean... that's straddling the fence to me, which I think, it's probably the most PC thing for him to do. But at the same time, these women's voices need to be heard.
Yeah.
And I am with you on this whole 50-50 thing of whether or not he gets fired, which it sucks because... the investigation definitely has to go forward.
Yes.
But you don't want to silence women. And the moment, the tide starts to turn to where people can keep their jobs, it makes women who might, or men, because this happens to men, who want to come out and tell their stories feel like, what's the point if nothing's going to happen?
So I asked both of you as women following the Me Too movement and the stories, though, what is your feeling on that answer specifically when they're saying... we're going to respect it. They're basically saying, I'm not guilty, but women's voices need to be heard. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's kind of a cop-out to me. I mean, like you said, if they're not going to lose their job, nobody's going to come out about it. And it kind of brings me back to the Larry Nassar issue. And it was so great how all those girls came forward.
Oh,
and
my God, yes.
They, you know, and stuck together, and he lost everything. And they're just the whole open, wide case. But in this situation, if that doesn't happen, you're right. It sets a new tone and going forward.
Exactly.
How
it's like, what's the point of even coming forward if I do come forward and it's something that, you know, people don't necessarily want to talk about. It's not a badge of honor. It's not like, ooh, I had a Me Too, you know?
Yes.
Even though it happens, and it happens so much in the entertainment industry.
The interesting thing that I've been observing is how the different media corporations, CBS Now in particular, how they are handling it.
Right.
So, okay, so there's both like a win and a loss here. It's like, so CBS, to their credit, has hired 2 law firms to be conducting this, okay? So then on the face, it goes, okay, an outside firm is handling it, whereas NBC Universal, they're like the king and queen of the internal investigation when it came to the Matt Lauer, when it came to Ryan Seacrest at E, which is an NBC Universal. It was all internal investigations for those people. I think I've spoke to some people, and these are like my sources, that there seems to be 2 groundswell of like buzz. It's like those firms are like pro CBS firms, okay? And then there's other people saying, no, it's on the up and up, and they've asked for statements even, and one of the lawyers that were representing one of the firms said, we're here to observe the facts, take down the facts, and then render a thing. Everyone is making, even like some of the higher ups in the industry and really reputable journalists have been following this whole what do you call it? Like the board. You know the board of CBS that's going to make this decision. I think there's 3 women on the board, and then the average age of the men on the board are white men that are like average age 70. So I mean, right there. I mean, to me, it's like it was like the O.J. Simpson. Like, did the jury, like looking at the jury, did you think he was going to get off, or like in the beginning? I think there's 50-50. I do.
Yeah,
I feel like
I feel like there's 50-50.
You literally hear like 2 sides of it. When I was out this weekend and I was talking about it because I knew we were filming today, and there's people that are really in the know saying he's going to lose it, and then there's other people saying he's going to hold on, because you're talking about such a. He is credited with CBS's success, and you're talking about gazillions of dollars here that is at stake if the
isn't
leadership.
That sad that it all comes down to money. Not about human people and what they had to go through. And
I know.
It's
on a human level,
super
sad.
Yeah.
On a business level, understandable.
Right, understandable. That's the sad part of the times we live in.
It is.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Tweets. You were looking at some interesting tweets about it, right? From TCA about the Jeff Fager and Les Moonves. Was there anything that sticks out?
Not really.
Not really?
No.
Okay. Then I guess we will move on to our next topic, which I'm very excited about. I was kind of waiting for her to Rosie O'Donnell's back.
She resurfaced.
By the way, we always get her on Twitter. Like, she's the best Twitter follow, especially when the Trump election, my God. But Rosie was just interviewed, actually, by Mark Malkin at Variety and for Meet the Holly Press. He was a guest panelist like 2 weeks ago. Fantastic journalist, and he just started at Variety as one of their new editors. Well, he interviewed Rosie for her show Smilf. Have you guys watched Smilf, by the way?
I haven't.
No.
On Showtime.
I got to check it out.
Yeah, check it out. It's a cute show. She plays like the mom of the lead character, Frankie. The character's Frankie. Anyway, this interview, they caught her up on her apartment in New York City just hours after flying home from Boston, and she talked about the LeBron, which we'll get to in a little bit. But, obviously, I think everyone knows LeBron James and Trump are basically exchanging in a war of words.
Right.
But Hollywood piled on Trump. Yes. Because LeBron just announced this week his school.
His I Promise school, which is amazing.
Amazing. And it's like even some of the conservatives came out after Trump went back at LeBron and said, wrong culture war to pick, wrong one. Because it's just, it's on the heels of him doing a press tour for the school that is basically helping underprivileged kids.
And families, like not just the kids, but the families.
So wait, the funny thing was Rosie talked, it said, he had asked her, are you friends with Roseanne Barr? Have you, in addition to the Trump stuff, to just hold on, let me backtrack for a second here. To the stuff about Trump, she basically said, they asked her basically, did she ever think that the feud that started years ago, which if you remember, she was on The View.
A long time
She
ago.
did an imitation where she flipped her hair, and it turned into him calling her a slob, a pig. You know, Rosie O'Donnell is one of the most disgusting slobs. I mean, but that was back when Trump was just a TV and a real estate entrepreneur and a TV personality, and boy, the stuff that they were trading. But it all started. Did she kind of start it? I think she did, right? She started by imitating him.
Right, but he comes back with the tweet.
With the tweet, yeah.
Obviously,
and so it was an ugly feud,
Mm-hmm.
and then even it carried into the 2016. Do you remember the debates? And Megyn Kelly asked about him calling women pigs, slobs, dogs, and he said that's not true. Only Rosie O'Donnell. He said
he just has to come back bigger and harder and meaner, and it's like little bullies around.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. So it'll be interesting to see what you're going to say next.
Yeah, so I'm bringing it up. So she basically said, she said she never anticipated in a million years that like the country would fall for him the way that he has, which
I think a lot of people didn't anticipate that.
No, I mean, but here's the thing.
To a certain degree.
If you're honest about it, and I will be, I thought I liked Donald Trump when he was just an apprentice host. And I did find him to be crass and funny and Howard Sternish, if you will, in the way that he would say things that were so inappropriate at times but yet you'd feel guilty that you'd think some of them in your mind even before he said them. And that's my opinion, again. But but I don't want him running my country necessarily, but not to get too political.
No, I agree 100% with that whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. So then we won't even discuss it further.
Because it's been said.
Yeah. So she went on to basically also say, we understand, in millions, I have imagined that many people would fall. If you're from New York, we understand all what he was about because we watched him try to create this facade.
Right.
This plays into also, because there's this New York, I lived in New York for a few years, and, like that New York upper society kind of crowd, right, that they run in. The interesting thing, if you talk to people in the know, Trump always wanted on the inside of that, but to a certain degree was a ultimate face pressed up against glass, and as rich as he would get, which is why I think he has such an issue with the Clintons and the Obamas, because they're so welcomed in by sort of like well-to-do people, upper echelon, middle class, rich, poor. It bugs him. Bugs him. And they have a celebrity quality that I think is different from what his sort of celebrity quality is.
Right.
Anyway, she said that. She's only one of his feuds. The LeBron, obviously. Now, Omarosa, who is employed, obviously, apprentice, past tense. It's also an excerpt from her book came out. As we know, she was unceremoniously fired from the White House after she sold her soul to be the urban, or was it African American ambassador?
Reach out.
Yeah, she was out. I don't know what outreach she was doing. God bless you, Omarosa. I don't know what outreach was being done. But she got fired and escorted. Remember all those ugly headlines? Well, now she had told us during that time she was going to get her word. Read a little bit. I think you have pulled up.
Yeah, I do. So her book is coming out August 14th, and it's called Unhinged, an insider's account of Trump White House.
Just the title alone. I can't wait to read it.
I can't even. Okay. So she says, well, watching the interview, and she's talking about the interview that Donald did with Lester Holt, I realized that something real and serious was going on in Donald's brain. Really, right?
Yeah, right.
His mental decline.
Like, what am I going to order from McDonald's tonight?
His mental decline could not be denied. Many didn't notice it as keenly as I did. Oh, trust me, we did. Because I knew him way back when. They thought Trump was being Trump off the cuff, but I knew something wasn't right. You know what?
Yeah, go ahead, Alina. Oh my God.
This is too little, too late. You are trying to get your 2 cents in and sell some books, and you had the opportunity a long time before.
Well, that's the same thing about just 2020 is hindsight, right?
Yeah.
But it's sort of like, I mean, could anyone though really I think about that sometimes when I'm trying to find like the sympathy in all of it.
Right.
Could anyone really pass up a job in the White House? If someone said to you, come be an advisor in the White House and you weren't even in politics, could you pass it up?
Yeah, right now, yeah.
Right, okay.
Right now, yes.
So yes,
Then,
so
no.
yes,
Yes.
Even I can't even say yes with a straight face. I would be like, because there's a certain part of you too that even thinks if you have a different belief structure that maybe you could be that person that comes in. I always want to think you're that
Right.
person that could
That wants
could
to
get
help.
through to them and help. You know.
And I think that there have been some people that did take the job for that reason.
Yes.
And I think that's why we've seen the revolving door, because they're just like, I can't. Like, I
Yeah.
think you get to your breaking point. Yeah, but
Okay.
Omarosa.
So look for her book, listeners and viewers, Unhinged. We just wanted to make sure you got that title. But she basically is really concerned about his mental decline.
Yes.
God.
And
Okay,
Trump
so
and LeBron.
moving on. Okay, so this is also serious matter, but we're so happy. Demi Lovato. This is breaking,
Yeah.
by the way. Just on the way in the car to meet the Hollywood press. She and by the way, can we please just a celebrity break? Can we break their silence? I am so sick of seeing headlines like breaks their silence. It's just, to me,
No, it's not silence.
my
Yeah.
pet peeve. It's just
Yeah.
so that's why I was very particular to say speaks for the first time since her overdose.
Right.
They're so dramatic, and that's my pet peeve with celebrity sites. Breaks their silence on the breakup. Breaks their It's like, really? Were they silent all this time?
Or
Were you
just-
with them?
yeah.
I don't know. They're probably talking in the hospital. You know.
Right.
Anyway, Demi Lovato made her first public statement about, since the overdose. You want to just read, Alina, a little bit of it?
Right.
It was
So
very touching.
It
by the
is,
way.
and I'm so glad she's doing okay. So she says, I have always been transparent about my journey with addiction. What I've learned is that this illness is not something that disappears or fades with time. It is something I must continue to overcome and have not yet done. She went on to thank her fans and friends and family, and then she ends with, I know I need time to heal and focus on my sobriety and the road to recovery. The love you have all shown me will never be forgotten, and I look forward to the day where I can say I came out on the other side. I will keep fighting, Demi.
What do you think?
I think, I love Demi.
I love her too.
And I love that she's so open with everything she's going through, because
Yeah.
she's human. We all have things that we're going through. Some,
sure.
Maybe this, some maybe something else.
Yeah.
And she's really been on the forefront, especially dealing with her mental health.
Yes.
Whereas a lot of people don't want to talk about it because they're afraid of the stigma. And she's been a role model to a lot of people.
A lot of people.
And this happens sometimes. Sometimes you fall off the wagon.
Yeah.
And it is an illness, and she's taking the time to get better now, and we're just all, praying for her.
Well, that's the whole, I had seen her perform, it was either 2 years ago with Nick Jonas when they were touring together at the Forum. She is an electrifying, that voice is
Yeah.
just incredible. There's such talent. It's just incredible. And she's humble and nice. She's actually nice, because I've been at some events where she does the carpet, and you can always tell. You know
yeah.
this. You've done you've done carpets.
Yes.
You can tell there's the authenticity. The authenticity is there or not.
Right.
She's a nice girl. And the interesting when you looked at this sort of thing that happened, there were some sources close to her inner circle that I did contact after all of it happened, and a lot of the stories that are being painted in the celebrity press that. Yes, she was in I saw, I think, the latest headline about she hung out with a group of enablers on page 6.
Right.
That's all true and all, but anyone who sort of has been had loved ones that battle addiction or have been close to it and know about it knows that she makes her own choices. So what I do know from her inner circle is that there's whatever issue she's dealing with internally, but that she made her choice. She at that time knew she was not, and that's why she released the song to tell
Right.
the world that she wasn't. I think it was probably therapeutic or cathartic in some sort of way. And then she partied really hard, and thank God she survived, right? I think what I struggle with, and this is good because we're on Meet the Hollywood Press tonight, this is where the journalism line is drawn for me, because I struggled with, when I temporarily had to go back to sort of celebrity news, I felt icky, not because of the stories that on my particular site, but the ones that would be worked on at the parent site at large. Right. I can't put my head down on a pillow. Right now, I couldn't be digging on the inner workings of Demi Lovato. To me, this is a private thing. Yes, she had an overdose. It's our job to report that news because it's news, and she was hospitalized, and then let her go heal.
Right.
I struggle with that as a journalist, and I don't know, if you read, I think that there's certain celebrity news sites that handle it with class and dignity, and then there's other ones that just don't, and it's like dumpster diving to me.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like they need all the space that they can get, not to be worried about, are there paparazzi?
Yeah.
Who can I trust? You know, that's the least of their, should be the least of their problems.
Well, it's why I still, to this day, speaking of Demi, it's like I think about, like, I'm a big Justin Bieber and Britney fan my whole life, right? And it's like I would defend them to the grave, because I always said if there was real talent somewhere and they want to overcome and come, they'll come back.
Yeah.
And America loves to forgive, and they love a comeback.
Oh, we love a comeback.
But when I thought about all the antics and the ages that they were at when all this was going on, and then the celebrity organizations that were like, they contribute to that.
Right.
And I don't think that that's what journalism is anymore. Like, I think journalism is exposing stories and telling the truth and getting to the bottom of the truth, but that's in some way, shape, or form doing a service for its reader or its viewer.
Right.
You know, like, what did I learn from this? What did I
Right.
take away from this? Even all of the CBS Me Too coverage, I think it's safe to say, like, what's your opinion? I feel like this is helping workplaces become better. It's not just like that the trades are digging on the scoop and the scandal of Les Moonves. It's like, did he treat women like this? How should it be handled? Because we're all in this shade of, like, it was black and white before. The minute a guy
Right.
got caught when the Me Too movement first started,
It was like, you're done.
you're done. And now I think that here's what one high place source told me, and I agree with this. Les Moonves is going to be like a turning point of how this is going to be dealt with, because he is almost like, if they keep him, it's going to set a new precedent, and it's going to be a turning point in that it's not going to be so quick to just
let
fire.
him out, right.
You know, they're going to let the investigation. And by the way, they should. It's like if it was a court of
Absolutely.
law. I said this, and I think you were on the show when we talked about this. TimesUp to me should be, in some way, shape, or form, a governing body that when all of the media organizations have a situation like this, they turn over the investigation to TimesUp, and they basically they staff themselves properly to do this. So that way, if
It's completely
TimesUp
independent.
decides that Les Moonves should go, then CBS has signed up to be part of, like, you know, the way the Motion Picture Association
Right.
oversees films and their film ratings. That's what, to me, a Time's Up should be for the industry. Because guess what? Then if Disney turns over the James Gunn case to, like, Time's Up, and Time's Up doesn't investigate and decides he should stay, and this is why, but this should be his
Right.
punishment, it's not on Disney. Then it's like Disney fans and viewers, which was a big precipitous too. Like, there was like a big uprising of, like, I'm not going to have my kids going to, like, your, you know, parks or
Right.
watching your movies if this is, like, the kind of person you're going to harbor. But no, listen, we're turning this over to, it's like a government, really. Like, the way that
Right.
if Trump, if they decide that there's impeachable offenses, the public's not going to decide, but the governing bodies
does,
that keeps
right.
him in check. There's no, Hollywood needs a check, like a check and balance.
I completely agree that
Yeah.
Hollywood needs a check, and it needs to be centralized. And that even, I mean, that would, I think, solve a lot of the disparities between different networks and how they're handling it.
That's what I'm saying.
Because one network will just fire, the other one's like, well, let's investigate. So, you know,
It's
all over.
inconsistent.
Exactly.
It's inconsistent.
And at the end point is we all want to have a safer workplace
Yeah.
where women and men feel comfortable and they're not harassed and people aren't putting their hands up their skirts.
No.
And even at that, the accused, you know, can have their day in court and, you know, defend themselves.
I even struggle with the line of, like, what it's become so far over, like, even if, like, you legitimately have a staffer and it's a female and she looks nice one day, like, is that no longer, like, okay to say you're looking, you know, you look great? Like, I really do struggle with what the line is
Yeah.
anymore
Yeah.
about that. Because remember the defense for some one of the women, her name is escaping, was one of the older actresses from the old times, complained that, well, if girls don't want men to, then they shouldn't put so much makeup on or look so. It
I'm
was like
so
this
tired of
defense of,
those
like, don't
excuses,
dress
yeah.
so sexy. If, like, it's like, wait, so because a girl's dressed sexy means, like, she's inviting rape and harassment.
Yeah.
It's just, she then backtracked. She
Interesting.
backpedaled.
Oh, interesting.
I'm trying to
Very
remember
interesting.
who it was,
There
because it
was
was
a-
actually an actress that I was like, I'll think about it. And then
Yeah.
I'll tell you viewers in the comments after or on Twitter.
There we go.
Yes. Anything else to add to that?
That was it as far as the LeBron and
Okay,
all the Trump feuds. I'm sure this next week we'll have something else, other Trump feud.
We're gonna move on to my favorite story of the episode. This is like, okay, so Daily Beast, one of my favorite websites out there. I think they do fantastic journalism. But they came out with an article from Laura Greenfield. So anyway, it's called "The Dangerous Kardashian Effect and the Profound Impact of the Superficial." And in a nutshell, okay, so it's Laura Greenfield who produced this documentary called Generation Wealth. It's in theaters now, right? By the way, I can't wait. I'm going to go see it tonight, actually. Documents our cultural obsession with wealth. And then so she wrote a piece about it in the Daily Beast. And she's basically saying, like, keeping up with the Joneses has become keeping up with the Kardashians, and the American dream has morphed from an attainable goal, the result of hard work, to a fantasy way of life characterized by self-indulgent celebrity narcissism. She's really taking on this current wealth-obsessed culture, and I know how I feel about it. I want to first ask you two girls how you feel about it. Like, do you think the Kardashians and what they stand for and sort of what you feel is the attraction to them as a fan is ruining in some way, shape, or form the American dream?
That is a tough question. Here's the thing. Here's how I feel about it. I'm not a huge fan of them.
Yeah.
I don't dislike them.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing their thing. They're living their life. When it comes to the fame, I do see the younger generation really looking up to them and thinking maybe what they do is the way to get fame. And what they don't understand is that that's an anomaly, what happened to them. It does not happen.
Nope.
It's like winning the lottery. You know?
No, it's true. And by the way, Paris Hilton is proof of that because Kim followed the Paris Hilton sex tape model.
Exactly.
But then Kim had smart marketing. Paris Hilton, God bless her, she has a successful DJ career.
Right.
But
very
DJ career.
Very quote-unquote.
But Paris Hilton is not like a current pop culture.
Right.
She's a sort of she's got exactly. So go ahead, continue.
Kim luckily had her mom, who's just an amazing manager and was able to turn something that could have ruined her daughter.
Momager.
Exactly.
We call them momager.
Exactly. So she turned that into this huge empire that now everyone in the family can profit from.
Yes.
And now they're in the beauty space. They're making their own clothes, their apps and all of that. So I guess there is a business model to follow if young people want to.
Absolutely.
I think you should always aspire and never put up any roadblocks, even if you are already rich.
Yeah.
And that is something that's commendable. But as far as just being famous for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing, okay, so are you a fan? And you can be.
So, I was going to say, I am a fan of them for sure.
Okay.
And I don't think I understand what you're saying, and I totally agree with everything but it being because of the Kardashians.
Yes.
I think it's society as a whole.
As a whole.
And
As
it's just what we're evolving into because kids nowadays are just so entitled, narcissistic, just so...
Not you, Mackenzie, though.
No, God,
she's got good ethic. She's a good kid.
Oh, I had a good momager, too.
I like
There you go.
But no, I think it's really just, like I said, society as a whole, everybody is just evolving into this, people owe me, everybody owes me, I need to have this. And I think another thing to go with that is happiness isn't attainable anymore to what as happiness should be. So if you make a bunch of money and I don't have 17 yachts and 3 houses in each country, you know what I mean? Then you're not happy.
Yeah.
I think social media plays a huge part in that too.
Huge. Well, I mean, we were having this discussion because now, as of late, I've been seeing these, and I don't know if it's a trend yet, but I saw like 2 prominent journalists in my Facebook feed that were saying how they had done like a social media diet like these last couple weeks, whether it be a month, and that now they've like deleted apps from their phone. So they only like will be on social media like during their like actual working time on their desktop computers, and that it's been like night and day because there's this certain level of you put a post up and like likes, or comments, and if you're not getting as many as you wanted to get, it's like a mind F for lack of a better word, and that people are basing their instant gratification on that, and speaking of Demi Lovato addicts, like I think that social media obviously is also an addiction for some. Like they just can't put it down. When I was working like running a daily news site, it was part of my job to have to be on top of it.
Exactly.
I live a happier life right now where I'm doing a weekly show and just like working on launching a startup. But that's The Populist, which, hey, shameless self plug alert here. The Populist, which is the half owner of this show. The Populist is such a different play in the market that it's not. Even then, it's going to be like impact journalism and a different. That it's not like I'm saying like I've had a taste now of that balance of like social media and constant news versus like and enjoying life, going out to yoga, going out to take a hike, and I would not want to go back. I'm being honest. Like I'm all of a sudden like this zen has taken over you. So circling back to this part though. Do you think, I agree with you. I don't think it's just the Kardashians, but I think because they so heavily dominate the media landscape and they have a weekly TV show that secures their place in pop culture and they're multiplying like gremlins. So basically they're securing themselves with every other generation of Kanye's kids. I mean, whether Kim and Kanye last, she's got royalty, R&B music royalty children. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so to me, it's that they have such large megaphone platforms, and you see it. And I've always said this, like when I was covering entertainment news and we were doing this, I only wanted to cover the Kardashians like for legitimate news reasons. Like to me, it's like I don't care that like Kylie injected her behind, or I don't care that she took out her lips. Right. That's not news in my eyes. Like news is like she was on the top of the Forbes list and here's how she got there. That's news to me. Like it's just, and again, it's opinions because I know I'm not a girl. I don't have to dress up with makeup. I think that I respect their marketing ability and their business savvy in what they do, whether that be the lifestyle brand, like, because they came out, I think they led the way with the apps, like having your, so like Taylor Swift also being one of those innovators. Like Taylor Swift has basically put all her content, in a place where her fans can get to it if they pay for it.
Right.
Super smart.
Right.
But I think that what I worry about is if I have a niece and a nephew, and to me, I think that if you can make it the way they made it, great. But I think still go through the traditional values of like, I went to school, I finished my degree, I went and got some college or a trade, but learn skills. You know what I'm saying? Because you can always then become this YouTube star from your bedroom, giving makeup tips, making millions of dollars. But why not still? That's where I think I'm traditional in it.
Right.
And I want to see this documentary really bad.
Me too.
And Laura Greenfield, I actually would love to speak to, because I just think everything that I was reading in this, I was like, oh my God, this is all of the beef I have right now. But when you look at the numbers too, with like the whole beauty business right now,
it's huge.
Huge. And now you see all these other, do you watch Vanderpump Rules, either one of you?
I do not.
So Lala Kent, who's like a big, like one of the most popular ones in there, she just launched like Give 'em Lala or something. Like this basically replicate this whole Kylie Jenner model. Like they have these followings of like whatever, even like the smaller 100,000 followers on Instagram, they can parlay that into a business.
Completely.
If 100,000 of them spend $20 on a piece of makeup, hello, we do the math.
Yeah. I mean, like it circles back to social media, like you were saying. I think a lot of people want to get those followers so that they can attain this type of dream.
Oh, exactly.
Too, it's like it's a never-ending circle and pattern.
You know what other thing that aggravates me is when you have all these, you can pay for followers, apparently, I've heard.
Yes.
And the thing is, you pay for all the followers and then you go and unfollow so many people. For me, I have like this pretty much the same amount of followers and following, because I like to know what's going on in people's lives. That's why I'm on social media.
That's why I'm on social media. Well, the interesting thing is too, I just see so many of these like I'm working on like a long form investigative piece on this whole like underbelly of Instafame, which is going to be like one of the first stories on my site. It's a subculture unto itself, because these people that were like shadowing some of them, they live in this world of like, oh, and I gotta go hang out with that dude because he's got like $1.5 million. Like it's like different. It's like their kind of money, which I always say, being like famous on Instagram is like being rich in Monopoly. I mean, in the grand scheme, I give them props that you can get money for brand stuff, and that's where I think it's smart. It's brand marketing.
Yeah.
But I think they let that allow them, like, their equivalence in the world, or their self-worth is somehow measured to that. And it's like,
completely.
it doesn't have anything to do with your character. It doesn't have anything to do in the grand scheme of, like, what you're contributing to the world.
No, and it'll
Right.
come up in conversations like, oh, did you see how many followers I have?
It's like, I really don't
That's
care.
so bizarre.
Like, I have a 13.
Glad that you're in real life.
I have a 13.
So true.
Oh my god.
I have a 13-year-old cousin, and he messages me the other day, and it's like, yeah, I have 3,000 followers. I'm like, okay.
How
Congrats.
old? Wait,
He's
how?
13.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Poor thing. Well, yeah, my sister-in-law was actually really wouldn't let my nephew and niece get onto it. Like, he's, I think, 11 now, and he was, like, just allowed to start using, and it's very heavily restricted in the way.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, in short, you agree that we're in the youth is looking at the wrong things,
Yes.
but you don't attribute that fault to the Kardashians.
No.
And you?
I don't attribute it all to the Kardashians. I think it's a mixture of a whole bunch of things. It's like the perfect storm. The time, everything.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I'm going to respect...
And they're kind of at the top of the
food chain.
totem.
I'm going to
Yeah.
respectfully disagree and
Okay.
say that I'm going to borrow from Chelsea Handler when she was on her show, basically said that the Kardashians wrought us Trump, meaning like that they are they are setting the trend for a lot that's wrong and why kids are the way. I don't know. I'm sure I bet you if I got in a room with them, I think they were the coolest girls to vibe with and hang out with. But I wish I would hear them doing a PSA about like go to school, finish, do some more like
World hunger.
Yeah,
Something.
I mean, Kim did the thing anyway.
Right.
Moving on. So really quickly then, before we wrap up, thank you so much for doing this. This was one of my
course.
most, this
It
was
was
like
fun.
great. It's like just sitting chatting with two smart ladies. Can you tell the viewers where to find Meet the Hollywood Press, either one of you?
Absolutely. I can tell them. You guys can find us on YouTube at AfterBuzz TV and at AfterBuzz TV. Go ahead and like, comment, rate, subscribe. You can find us on iTunes. Also, follow Meet the Hollywood Press on Twitter, Instagram, all of those good places. We've been talking about social media, so all those places.
All those places. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I also want to just give a shout out. We've got a small but loyal audience, and the comments are really building every week, and I'm going to be in there today answering. But thank you so much for all the comments and feedback, and we welcome it all, whether it's negative or positive. Because we're evolving as a show, and we're trying new things, and I couldn't be more grateful for all of you tuning in. So thank you for joining us for this weekend's episode of Meet the Hollywood Press, and come back next week, and we'll be chatting about this week's latest Hollywood topics.
Sure will be stories.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff. We would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.